This is my recipe for a New York style grandma pizza, and I'm starting with the flour, with the dough. The dough is going to be made from regular bread flour. Like I use Pillsbury bread flour. You can use any other flour, but the taste might vary a little bit. And then I'm going to mix together in a cup 2 cups of water with a package of yeast, salt and sugar. And I'm gonna warm this mix up in the microwave, and then I'm gonna add 6 tablespoons of olive oil to the flour, and then I'm gonna mix in the yeast, the water with the yeast, sugar, and those are 2 cups of water, and I'm going to add 1 package of rapid rice yeast. Then I'm going to add a little bit less than a teaspoon of salt. So this is more or less the amount of salt. And then instead of sugar, we use splenda to cut down on calories. But sugar is ideal because it helps the yeast to help the dough grow. But it's not really necessary, so I'm going to use like 5 packages of Splenda. And now I'm going to heat up that mix in the microwave. So now, before I put the mix with the yeast in the dough, on the flour, I'm going to put 6 tablespoons, more or less 6 tablespoons of olive oil into the flour. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, and that should be enough olive oil. And now I'm mixing my yeast mix with salt and Splenda into the dough. So now I'm going to work with my hands. I'm going to work the dough with my hands until it's the right consistency, and I'm going to start right now with that. You can also use a machine if you have like a bread mixer or something. You can use a machine to mix your dough. I prefer doing it by hand, but it works fine if you use the machine. So if it's a little wet, then you add flour. If it's too dry, then you add more water to it. In this case, my mix turned out a little wet this time, so I'm actually going to add a little bit more flour. So once I finish working the dough, I'm usually putting like a trash bag on top, like this, and then also a little kitchen towel, like this, and I'm going to let it sit for about an hour or so. So now I'm preparing the cheese for the pizza. I'm using actually whole milk mozzarella. They sell them at Walmart or most other supermarkets. Just make sure it's whole milk and not regular part skim mozzarella. The whole milk one is much tastier. I'm cutting the mozzarella into little cubes, so I just cut first into a few slices, and then I'm going to cut the slices into little cubes. So I'm going to cut the cheese into little cubes. And once I'm done with that, I'm going to set the cheese aside and I'm going to start working on the sauce. So the cheese is now cut into little cubes. I'm going to put it in the fridge until I'm ready to apply the toppings to the pizza. So for the sauce, I'm using peeled tomatoes, San Marzano organic peeled tomatoes, and you can get those like at most supermarkets. Walmart has them, and they're really the best tomatoes you can get. You can peel your own tomatoes if you would like, but it's time consuming, and you can already buy peeled tomatoes. It's not that cheap, but I would rather buy the peeled tomatoes and don't have to work. So I also use about 10 leaves, 10 basil leaves. I grow my own basil, but of course you can get it in the fresh section in your supermarket. So I'm gonna cut the basil in very little pieces. So that's about the size of the basil that I'm going to put inside. So I'm going to start by putting my peeled tomatoes into the dish here. Then I'm going to add the basil. Then I'm adding about a little bit less than a teaspoon, about that amount of salt. But that depends on your taste, whatever someone likes. If you like it more salty, put more. If you don't like it salty at all, then just put less salt. Then I'm going to use ground pepper also here. I put a fair amount of ground pepper, black pepper in it, and oregano leaves. So and now I'm gonna crush my crushed tomato. I'm gonna crush my peeled tomatoes by hand. The next step is I'm gonna heat up some olive oil in a pot. A little bit of olive oil. And once it is hot, I'm going to mix in my tomato sauce. So the oil is hot enough now, so I'm going to add my sauce, my tomato sauce, into the pot. And now I'm going to stir it well. So keep mixing for about 4 or 5 minutes on high until the consistency becomes a little thicker. And when it's the right consistency that you like, then you stop and turn off your range. So I'm ready to prepare the crust now. I'm gonna put olive oil first. Then I'm gonna spread it out with my hand all over there and here. You wanna make sure that you don't miss a spot, because otherwise the pizza is gonna stick. And you don't want the pizza to stick. All right. Now I have to knit the dough again. I'm going to put some more flour on it. I'm going to work the dough for a little bit again, just extra flour so it doesn't stick to my hand. Okay, it's good enough. I'm gonna separate now the little piece that I'm gonna use for the pizza for my daughter. Maybe a little more. So that's gonna be a regular, not grandma pizza. That's gonna go separately. And then a little bit more flour. And I'm gonna be ready to spread it on the pan here. So I'm going to extend it in all different directions to make sure it fits the pan. So I finished spreading out the dough, and now unlike a regular pizza, grandma pizza actually has the cheese first. So you distribute that 1 pound of whole milk mozzarella all over the pizza. So I finished spreading the cheese, and just try to spread it as evenly as you can. Next step is to apply the sauce on the pizza. Again, just like the cheese, try to distribute the grandma sauce as evenly as you possibly can. So the sauce is now spread out over the pizza, and the oven is preheating to 425 degrees. Now I'm putting some oregano on top of the pizza, and you just heard it, the oven is preheated, and it's time to put the pizza into the oven. The pizza is now baking in the oven at 425 degrees for 23 minutes. Pizza has been in the stove for about 23 minutes now, and it's time to take it out. And I'm going to put the other pizza in. It's time to add some pesto to the pizza. It's just regular Basil pesto, and I try to distribute the pesto evenly on the pizza. Make sure that the pizza it turns out best if the pizza is still hot when you put the pesto, because the pesto is going to be a little bit absorbed by the cheese, so it becomes part of the flavor. I think that's enough pesto, maybe a little bit. Alright. Seems very good for pesto. And now the pizza is ready, and I'm going to cut it right now.